Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Garden Girls podcast. I'm Dagny and this is Meg. And today we're going to be talking about our gardening routines or maybe a lack thereof. I think there's going to be some differences here. And if you've been listening for a while, you probably know I'm too organized. Meg thinks she's not organized enough. And maybe we should both be somewhere in the middle. I don't know. But we're going to get right into it. I'm very curious to hear, Meg, what you have to say on this because I don't really know what to expect from you. Like, what is your gardening routine?
So I took some notes here because I
Good.
really had to think about this. I really had to
Yes.
think. And the first thing that I wrote is I like to dilly dally. And that, that pretty much describes my gardening
I
routine.
love that. I
I
need
just
to
like to
hear
dilly
more.
dally.
That's
I
it.
like, really, like, I don't really have like a routine per se.
Mm.
Okay, when this wasn't my full-time job, and I was working a full-time job, I did have more of a routine because I had to. But you would think it would flip-flop,
I
right?
was going to say
You would
that's
think it would
like the
flip-flop.
reverse of how I look at it, but okay, sure. Everybody's different. Yeah.
You would think it would flip-flop. Like when I had a full-time job and I had less time to garden, I feel like I had to be more routined
Sure.
because I had such little time. And I would only garden on the weekends. And I don't know. I still do most of my gardening on the weekends, but this is what I did write something down. I kind of
Okay.
thought about it, and this is what I do every day.
Okay.
Dilly dallying includes this. It's just me going outside. Like, I do a little morning walk with my cup of coffee, my cup of decaf, because
Yep.
I'm not
Yep.
drinking caffeine right now. But I'm just like looking over everything, and I'm looking out for pests. I'm
Yep.
looking for diseases. As I'm walking around, I'm pulling weeds. Like, I'm just like taking a check of every bed and just looking very thoroughly, like, what's going on,
This is
just
not that different than
admiring.
what I do.
Okay,
No.
okay. Well,
Like,
maybe you
routine
do
is a
dilly
big,
dally.
scary word. I think we are both dilly dallying. I think that's what's happening.
You just you just want to be more structured about your dilly dallying.
Yes. Yes. I am just a structured dilly dallyer, and you're an unstructured dilly dallyer.
I mean, I don't know. And I like while I'm walking around, I'm just making sure everything is watered properly, especially the containers. Pay
Okay, so
extra
you're a
attention.
morning waterer. We should
Yeah. Yeah.
establish
Well,
this.
see, it depends. Like some more like it's like if I feel like it. Like
Oh,
if I'm
okay.
walking around and like I notice things are really dry in the morning,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna do it immediately. But I would prefer to do it in the evening, to be
Hmm.
honest. I do two dilly dallies a day, morning
Same.
and evening, because the day is too hot, especially now. It's like getting hotter,
Yep.
and I try to stay indoors in the middle of the day. Um, but I mean, that's really my only daily tasks in the garden. In the summer, we do have a bug hunt every day. Me and my
Hmm.
fiance, I have to pull him into because I can't
Yes.
do all of this bug hunting by myself.
Reinforcements.
It's too much. And I just say like, "Can you please help me bug hunt today?" And it
Do
like
you
turned
guys put
into a
on like a
little,
safari hat and get a little
yeah.
net? Yeah.
We each have a
Nice.
bowl of water,
Yes.
gloves, a bowl of soapy water, and we go out and we bug hunt. And I've taught him how to identify the pests. He's doing a very
This he
good
can
job.
identify. The
At least he can
weeds,
identify.
not so much.
Weeds, not so much. No, I don't trust
No.
him at all with plants, but like with
No.
bugs, he has identified them, and he is a very big help with
Good.
bug hunting. It's become like a bonding experience.
Oh, killing
Yeah,
bugs together. So
killing bugs.
romantic.
Yeah, and so that is something that I have to do daily in the summer because there's squash bugs, bean beetles. It's mainly squash bugs and bean beetles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like we're really not that different in terms of like a daily routine. Like I last year because it's our job, I feel like it's kind of shifted a little bit for me. Like last year I really had to be like, you know what? I want to enjoy the garden, not just feel like it's my office and where I work. And
Yeah.
so a big part of my morning dilly dally has become like sitting down and not actually working in the garden and just like breathing the fresh air and listening to the birds and like having a moment of mindfulness. It's literally like 3 to 5 minutes. Like it's not huge, but I needed that because I was starting to feel a little resentful of the garden because it was just so much like it just doesn't have the same, it's not the same like haven anymore. Like when it is somewhere where you have to film all the time, you're just thinking, oh God, I have to move this before I do that and all that other stuff. So it has helped a lot. Definitely have to have my garden beverage in hand. It's usually tea these days, unfortunately, not coffee, but have to have that. And I'm usually assessing things because then I like to do the actual things that I need to do at night. So I will deadhead in the morning just as I'm like walking around because it's like super fast and easy. And I'll like train vines up things. Just something that literally like I can do as I'm still just moving around. But for like picking bugs, I usually do that in the late afternoon, evening. And like you, I have to skip like the middle of the day entirely. I think this gets worse as we get older, but also with autoimmune stuff. Like we're very sensitive to heat. I actually got a neck
Yes.
fan last year, which has helped a lot if I do have to work in the middle of the day. It's so freaking hot. Then you have to put on like 3 layers of sunscreen and your hat. Like, I'm not doing this. It's not worth it. I'd rather just break up my day and do it in the morning and the evening.
100%. And you know what? Most of the bugs are out in the morning and evening too because they
Right.
hide during the middle of the day. They don't like the heat either.
Yep.
But no, I've definitely become more heat intolerant over the last
Yes.
few years. It makes me dizzy. It makes me not feel good, and I just feel like sick if I'm out in the heat for too long. So, morning and what you were saying about like the mindfulness thing, that's yeah, I feel the exact same way. It's like how they say not to make your passion your job or like
Right.
your hobby your job,
Yeah.
because then you don't want to do it. And it's
Right.
not like I'm not like complaining. Like I
No.
we love what we do. We get to do our passion for a job, which is like incredible. But there are times where it's like you're it's like it becomes like a chore instead of,
Well, you're just
like
in like you're in a work mindset, which
right.
isn't necessarily a negative thing in and of itself, but it
Yeah.
just means that you're constantly looking at what has to be done instead of just being present and in the moment. And it's
Yeah.
just different. So for me, that has had a really big impact and it's helped a lot to kind of take that intentional time, even if it's just a little while where I'm like turning a blind eye to all of the weeds and everything that
Yeah.
needs to be done.
I also try to give myself some time where I'm doing some garden things that I'm not filming too, because there's
Yes.
times where I just want to be out in my garden and I just want to garden without having to be on in front of a camera. And that helps too. And I think that's also like just that's also being mindful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. What is your routine around things that are more like bigger jobs? Like when you fertilize, if maybe do you like to weed every day or is that something that you prefer to do like once a week?
I I like I said, when I'm kind of walking around, if I see a weed, if I see like a big weed, I pull it. If it's like easy to get out.
Yeah.
If it's like a whole patch and it's gonna take like, a couple hours or something, I kind of save that for a weekend job
Hmm.
when I, maybe have some help from my fiance or I have more time or I have like I don't know. Yeah, I don't like to weed every day. But I don't know, sometimes it depends. If I'm feeling stressed, honestly, weeding is
Hmm.
kind of a form of stress relief because it's just like a mindless thing and
Yeah.
you feel so good after you are done. So I don't know. I think I do it daily, just at least a little bit. I feel like it doesn't pile up as much if you kind of keep on top of it every day. Just pull like 5 weeds a day, 5 or 10
Right.
weeds a day.
Yeah. Just have like a little weed leaderboard, like what needs to be
Yeah.
pulled today.
And those the grandpa's weeder or the
Oh my
things
God.
that you don't even have to bend over.
Obsessed. I
Yeah.
just got the hose link one, and honestly, it's so much better than the Grandpa's
Hmm.
Weeder one. I'm like shocked. Like I was like, this looks over engineered, but I
Really?
genuinely love
I
it
need to get one from them then.
because it has like this extra handle thing. So you know how like the weed will get stuck in the claw part, and you have to like bend down and like pull it out with
Yeah.
your hands. Theirs has this thing that like pushes it off.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, it's so nice.
I need that. I'm gonna be ordering one of
Yeah,
those.
it's so good. I honestly up until this year, never really had weeds in my elevated beds because like they're brand new soil and they're elevated off of the ground. Like there was just nothing in them to grow into weeds. But this year, I was actually kind of excited. I was like, I have earthworms in the beds now, and I also have weeds, which like I'll take both. It's fine.
Signs of life.
It's just dandelions because they're all coming in on like the breeze because that's the only thing that can get in there. But I do have some areas in ground where I'm dealing with like mugwort and grasses, and honestly, I hate weeding. It's like I will avoid it at all costs. So it's like not even like a part of my daily routine or my weekly routine for the most part because I just hate doing it. The weeder does help a lot with that. And I also have one of those Japanese hand hoes. It's like wicked sharp. And that helps a lot too.
I try to stay on top of it, but it's really easy. It's just easy to let them get like out of control. And it's fine. I'm not like super anal about like every weed has to be pulled either. So, you know, I don't know. If it's making the pathways look just super grassy because all of my pathways are mulch, then I'll pull them. Other than that, some things that I do weekly are take out the compost, like the kitchen scraps, take them to the compost, maybe turn the compost and just kind of, again, I'm not like a super composter or anything. I don't really have a regimented schedule with composting, but I just try to turn it every once in a while. Just make sure
I've never turned my compost.
And that's okay.
I mean,
honestly,
it's not great, but it's so hard to turn compost. Like, it is exhausting.
Do you have one of those like spiral ones?
Do they actually work?
Yeah, it helps a lot. So you just like spiral it down into it, and then you just like pull it up. And that's all. Like, you don't need to like turn it. You're just agitating it, you know? Like, you're just it's so much better. You need one of those spiral ones.
Yeah, I used like a legit pitchfork. It did not go well.
It's hard and because it's heavy. It's a lot of work.
It really is.
We're not built for that kind of manual labor.
I always also, do you do this where like you'll like weed or deadhead and then like you make a pile that's not the compost pile that needs to then be like moved to the compost?
Moved to the compost. Yes.
Yes. This is a problem. I need like little mini compost buckets everywhere or something, but it's just
or you need chickens.
I do need chickens.
I obviously make sure that nothing is in the pile that is like toxic to them, but most weeds are fine for chickens. The chickens, they love a weed pile, and the way that they just decimate it and they just flatten it out and like it's gone is insane. So like I will have this huge weed pile and I'll just like throw it in the chickens, which like my compost is in with the chicken yard anyway. But they love to pick through the bugs in the pile. They love to eat the weeds in the pile, and then they flatten out all of the dirt, and then they use that as like a dust bath. So it's like it's beautiful.
So
it's a beautiful cycle.
So I feel like my mini piles end up getting cleaned up like once a week. Like that's just like a weekend thing for me.
Yeah, I would say that's like a weekly task. Just doing something with your compost, whatever you do. Okay, tomato pruning is usually like a weekly thing.
Gosh, tomatoes.
Tomato season. Pruning.
Well, we don't have to prune the dwarf indeterminates, right?
Unless they're getting unruly. Like I will prune them because they are more compact, so there's like less airflow sometimes.
True.
So I will prune for airflow just to like kind of prevent any kind of fungal disease or anything. I just try to keep on top of that about once a week. Just go through all the tomatoes and just kind of prune off anything that if it's a sucker that I don't want there, or they're becoming too crowded together, or there's no airflow, just chop, chop, chop.
Do you prune your cucumbers?
No, I don't really ever prune my cucumbers. I just kind of let them do what they're gonna do. I know that there's some people that are really passionate about pruning cucumbers, but
I did it once. I didn't really see the benefit. I felt like I was stressing the plant out. Like it just seemed unnecessary.
Yeah, I feel like when I do that, I'm just cutting off harvest.
Right.
I don't know. Like it's not like with tomatoes where you're trying to grow big tomatoes and the plant needs all that energy. Like I usually grow mini cucumbers anyway, so they're gonna be smaller, and I feel like it doesn't really affect like their size or anything if you don't prune. So I don't really see anything with it unless like I said, for airflow.
Right.
Because we get a lot of powdery mildew. Here in North Carolina, like, our cucumbers, they are going to get powdery mildew. It's inevitable. So one thing that you can do to kind of prevent that is to maybe prune a little bit if they're just growing on top of each other and there's no airflow there.
Yeah.
Mainly pruning the leaves, though, instead of the vine.
Right.
Like, I'll prune off the big, large leaves sometimes that kind of clump together at the bottom.
They can get really leafy, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely not a morning task for me. That's like a once a week kind of
That
deal.
is a once a week, yeah. And the same with squash vines, like sometimes pruning off leaves
I've never done that.
Been affected. Like if you do get powdery mildew, pruning off the leaves that are affected can help just kind of keep it at bay. So yeah, I guess I do prune cucumber and squash. And just pruning everything. It's kind of like a weekly task, just, And when you're dilly-dallying, just take note of, like, the things that might need pruning that week. Yeah. And,
Also, like, training things like the tomatoes up the trellis. Like, I mean, sometimes I have to do that multiple times a week. Like, if they're really on a tear, especially, like, traditional indeterminates, I've had to prune like every single day at some points. Like, it gets out of control for sure. I always look at my tomatoes every day because if there's a hornworm, I need to know immediately. Or they're gonna 5 hours later, the whole plant's gone. Yep. I don't understand how they eat that fast. I really don't.
I don't either, but like they really go to town. I mean, I don't even want to think about it. I hate like squishing hornworms, all the like tomato juice.
No, gosh, they're so juicy.
That's the first image that comes into my mind though when somebody says tomato hornworm. It's just like the green juice. Ugh. So gross. I love seeing a hornworm with the parasitic wasp eggs on its back, though. If I ever see one of those, I leave it alone because I know that the parasitic wasps are taking care of it for me.
See, I've never had them in my garden that I've noticed, so...
You need to attract them.
I guess I'm not doing a good job.
Plant more flowers. You have yarrow in your yard?
Yeah.
Lots of yarrow. They love yarrow. Like anything with those little flowers, like yarrow and dill, like the umbrella shape, they love the umbrella shape. Flowers.
My dill self-seeded. I wasn't sure it was going to because it gets so cold here, so I just noticed it popped back up. I'm really excited.
Isn't that just so fun? Like all the volunteers. The volunteers are so fun. When I dilly-dally, that's another thing. I'm just like I'm looking at all the little seedlings that are maybe popping up. Especially when I'm weeding, I'm making sure I'm not pulling anything that might be a volunteer because a lot of things volunteered in my pathways this year and I'm not mad about it. Like dill was one of them. Sunflowers. I have like 10 beautiful sunflowers popping up and I didn't even have to plant them.
I'm so jealous.
Marigolds self-seeded this year, which I've never really had that. Chamomile self-seeded. Like there's a lot of stuff I didn't even have to plant this year. But
that is so nice. Do you feel like your routine changes a lot, like from like peak planting season versus just like having a routine, like once everything's in the ground, it's very different. Like right now I'm in the thick of it with planting season and I feel like it's just chaos. I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking at everything and I'm doing everything all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like when it's in spring, when it's like go time, obviously like you're doing a lot more planting, which I would say that that's a weekly task for me as well. Like when I'm walking around, I'm also keeping in mind like things I might want to plant this weekend.
Garden gaps. You need to look for those garden gaps. Yeah.
Things that I want to direct sow, like things I want to chaos garden or whatever, like just seeds that I need to like kind of pull out of my seed binder for sowing that week or something. But then in the dead of the summer, I don't really have that much of a routine. It's like kind of like the garden is like fend for yourself, especially at the late summer.
Right.
It's kind of like I'm gonna be inside, you're gonna be outside doing your thing. Good luck.
Right.
So yeah, I think like it definitely changes. I think I'm more definitely more routine at the beginning of the growing season because obviously we're excited and we're like ready to go and we're planting all the seedlings and doing all the things and then kind of
Well, there's so
drops
much
off.
more like it's more time sensitive at that point too. It's like, okay, this
Yeah.
needs to get in the ground now or it's not going to grow in time. When do
Yeah.
you like to harvest? Like, what's your routine around harvesting?
In peak summer, it's pretty much every day because
Yeah.
there's things that I need to harvest every day. Cucumbers, tomatoes, make sure that they don't split or rot or cucumbers especially you have to like you've got to yank those because they'll
They
be
get
yellow the
weird
next
real
day.
fast.
Flowers that need to be dried out like calendula and chamomile pretty much every day. I'm doing chamomile every day right now. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
I
another
feel like,
kind of dilly when I'm dilly dallying. I'm
oh
also just
yeah,
like picking things. If I see it, I just pick it. But again, I don't know. As a content creator,
this
I'll
is my
kind of,
question.
yeah, as a content creator, I'll kind of film a weekly. I'll try to like let as many things sit there for as long as possible as I can so that I can do a big harvest because,
Same.
everyone loves the harvest videos and that's kind
Hmm.
of like my top performing content. So as a content creator, I have to do that. And so that is a weekly thing. Yeah.
Yeah, same. And I just look at it like my grocery shop for the week. Like, yeah, there are things
Hmm.
that are time sensitive that get picked every day, but I always also am thinking like, okay, what can wait? What will
Yeah.
be most interesting for a harvest video? Because like people get really excited about the weird stuff like purple
Hmm.
peppers and mushrooms. Like, can I leave those or what do I have to do? But yeah, I also like I'll just be dilly dallying and then I'll start harvesting things and I'll have like nowhere to put them. Like I have no
Yeah.
pockets because like girls don't get pockets, I guess. And then
Yeah.
like that's another rant for another time. But I'll just be like carrying like spiky cucumbers around, like dropping them everywhere because I'm also like training vines and deadheading flowers. Like I need a better system. I need to just admit that I have to bring a basket with me every time I enter the garden at a certain point in the year because that's like not working.
I have a basket that sits out like near my back door that
Mm.
I take it out and yeah, like I'll just take it out with me in the morning and just set it down and it's just like there if I need it kind
Yeah,
of
I
thing.
think I just reorganized the greenhouse with the new raised beds, and I just made so like underneath one of them is all my harvest baskets, and it's the one like closest to the door. So I'm hoping that encourages me to like actually get it because it's like closer.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to get enough things to kind of wait for a big harvest because
Yeah.
like the cucumbers they don't wait, the tomatoes they can rot or split or whatever. Peppers are really good at waiting. Yeah, so it's tricky to get a lot of things to harvest at once to film it
I
in
know it's
a
such a weird part of our job if you really
yeah.
think about it. Like I totally take this for granted, but it is like I'm constantly like bargaining with myself in my head of like, okay, if I'm going to film a video on this day, like what's going to last? What's not going to last? How long can I wait?
Yeah. And
Um
it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, big harvest video on Wednesday, but I wanna, and then I wanna cook something and I wanna
yes.
film that, like, that's gotta be the next day so that everything's as fresh as possible, or the day of, or like, I
Mhm.
don't know, yeah, it's like there's just the things that like go through our head, but a normal person would just go out to the garden, pick
Right.
it, and then go and eat it. But
I know. And then we like there's no real discussion of the aftermath of these huge harvests, like the processing that goes into just like cleaning everything, bagging it, getting it in the fridge or in water and like that alone takes me a good extra hour sometimes just
yeah.
because of, like how much you harvest. It's just weird like thinking this is a part of our work routine actually.
Yeah, if you guys want like an
Right?
episode about the routine of like being a gardening content
Mhm.
creator, we could do a whole episode on that
I
probably
know. I feel like
because
everyone would think we're really freaking weird because like we do weird stuff to like
yeah.
make this like the amount of time I think about like where the sun is in the sky. Like
Yes.
it's
And
so
I can
silly.
only film at like three
Yeah.
o'clock
Yeah.
is like a good because if it's too sunny you can't anyway. We'll do a whole episode on that. Back to our daily gardening
Right, the routine.
routines.
I have two other weird like routine items on my list that I feel like not everybody has. The
Okay.
first one is my flamethrower.
Oh,
So
oh,
I I get a lot of not very nice comments about my gravel patio by the greenhouse because a lot of people hate having gravel patios because the weeds come up through them and they're really hard to pull. I don't pull them, I flame throw them.
that is so smart.
So you can get this add-on that goes on like the little camping like propane tanks, and it's literally like a long metal rod. Like there's almost nothing to it. It's like, how is this even safe? But you just screw it onto that and it like has a little igniter thing and it makes flames, and so you can just burn all the weeds. So that's part of my routine. I usually probably do that once every 2 weeks ish, especially in the spring. There's a lot more.
That's so clever, and that's making me want to replace my mulch with just gravel because
Yeah,
that would
because
be so
like
much easier.
you have the same problem in mulch with weeds for sure.
But I
But
can't flamethrow mulch.
oh no. See, I've wanted to do a video on the flamethrower because it's like so cool and different, but I'm really scared it's a liability issue. Like another weird content creator thing, I don't really want to encourage people to like use a flamethrower.
Yeah.
But it does work really well. So yeah, and it's so like easy. Like I don't have to bend down because the rod is like so long because they don't want you near the flame, obviously. So it works. Totally recommend. It's kind of scary at first, but you get used to it.
I would love to use a flamethrower. It sounds so cool.
So that's my weeding routine for the gravel, and it works very well for me. I love having the gravel patio. I don't understand all the hate for them at all. Like, and it also
Wait,
like
why are people hating?
because it's not low maintenance because you have to weed it.
But you have to weed
I
everything.
know. I know it's weird.
You have to weed everything and anything unless it's cement. And
Yeah.
even with cement, those plants grow through the cracks.
It
Weeding is a
life
part. That's like my fiance, like he like despises weeding. Like when I ask him to help me weed, he's just like, whatever, I'll do it. But like I hate this. And
Mhm.
he even like he'll come up with these things like, oh, there's this like even just last night he was showing me this like organic weed killer and I was like, Ryan, it's a no spray garden. I don't want to spray anything, even if it's organic. Like we're just gonna have to pull the weeds. But he keeps trying to come up with these like really creative things and I'm just
Mhm.
like, listen, weeds are gonna always be there. I'm sorry.
It is
They're
true.
always gonna be
And
there. And it's
frankly, I
always going to
just
be
don't
something.
care. Like, if they're not actively choking out a plant that I
Yeah.
want to grow, I don't care that much. I just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. I
I do
mean,
the gravel just because I don't want it to get out of control. Like, and I can see that it could if I wasn't always flame throwing, but I'm always flame throwing, so it's fine.
and it's almost easier to weed when they're bigger
Yeah.
than if they're smaller. So like sometimes I'll just like let them grow until they're like bigger plants and then just like
Hmm.
rip out the whole thing. When they're really tiny and you're just trying to like get the little things out and they just like won't come out is when it's
I know.
frustrating. So
So
it's like,
fussy.
just yeah. So weeding obviously is like a huge
Yeah, that should
part
be
of
a
our
whole
routine.
episode, I
That
feel.
should be. There's so many people that try to come up with these clever like things, and there's some things that work, but at the end of the
This needs to
day,
be a
not even
video.
landscape fabric like
Oh, I hate that
works.
stuff. Don't even get
Right.
me
Like it
started.
doesn't even we actually I have a story about this because,
Yeah.
my all of my pathways are mulch. We put landscape fabric under that when we started this whole thing. We
Yep.
landscape fabric the whole thing and put mulch down and we were like, oh, we'll never have weeds. That didn't work. And also it caught so our backyard is like slightly sloped and every time it
Oh,
rains there's like a river that goes through it. And all the landscape fabric was doing was making that worse because the water
yeah.
wasn't seeping into the earth. It was going on top and it was moving all the mulch down. We ended up ripping all the landscape fabric out.
Yeah.
And also it's toxic. And also it just doesn't
Doesn't
work. Like it's
work.
just not worth it. It's just
Literally doesn't work.
you just
No.
gotta pull the weeds. Weeds are a
Mhm.
part of life.
That's
Like
another thing I
breathing.
like about the gravel patio is it drains really nicely. It
Yeah.
drains really well. My last bit of routine that I usually have to do every 3 to 5 days is filling my Oyas. Generally don't have to water. If I water, it's in the morning, but otherwise I'm just filling the reservoirs.
I do that as well. I guess as far as watering, I have my irrigation on a timer, so I don't really have to do anything, but that does run daily for I think I have it set to 10, 15 minutes a day. I think is what I have it set to.
What are you doing for your green stalks?
I do have to hand water those. So like the containers I hand water.
Yeah.
But as far as the rest of the garden, almost all the raised beds are set up on drip irrigation, which is so nice. I don't have to worry about anything. I have it on a timer and it does it for 15 minutes a day. Everything is nice and watered and happy. And it even has like a rain indicator like
No
on
way.
it'll tell me like it's like connected to an app and it'll like tell me the weather if it's supposed to rain that day, and if it rains it doesn't run it. And yeah, it's the technology, man. I love the technology and gardening together. So as far as like chicken keeping, I scoop the coop and collect eggs daily. Usually do that in the morning, or no, in the evening, because my girls like to lay throughout the day. As far as weekly with the chickens, I'll also clean the coop, do like a little bit more of a deeper clean, and then fly traps. I gotta set the fly traps and empty the fly traps just because there's a lot of flies that chickens attract in the summer. And then as far as the bees, I do my hive inspection every week right now in the spring when it's swarm season, but then throughout the summer it's more like every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Just to like check on them. And then monthly is fertilizing. I guess we didn't really go over fertilizing, but I'll usually do that every month or so. Honestly, just whenever I remember to do it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start spraying like a foliar feed this year. I've never done that before. But with the granular plant food I do, because my gardens are like so contained, I feel like I have to do it way more often. So it's like every 2 or 3 weeks, honestly, that I'm putting some in there
Okay.
at like peak season, just because like they don't have access to the soil. So it feels like they just don't have the same like microbial activity happening that you would expect. I think it's getting better every year because I'm still like using a lot of the same soil, but it needs more.
And you said you add worms, right?
They just appeared this
Oh,
year.
okay, well that's good.
Yeah. So I actually just also got worm castings, and I've been making like the tea with that and using that, and that has helped a lot too.
Do you grow comfrey?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I've been growing it for a few years now, but I've never done like
Yeah.
the fertilizer tea with comfrey. So apparently comfrey has like a really long taproot or something where it'll like absorb nutrients from deep in the soil, and apparently it's just really nutrient dense, and you cut up the leaves and steep them in a tea, and then you water your plants with the leaf tea. And I've never tried that before, but I want to try it this year to see if it would make a difference. My scientific mind is skeptical about it. I don't really know if there's like a lot of scientific proof that that really works or anything, but I want to see, just to see.
I wonder if it's like, the banana peel thing. It's like it doesn't
Yeah.
actually break down in the way that it needs to break down for that nutrient to be accessible.
I like to spend my time on things that like I know are gonna work, because it is like very time consuming, and like we're talking about routines, like we have limited time, and so I want to dedicate. But I don't know. I want to try it just to see. I also do the foliar feeding with Neptune's Harvest. I like that for like a foliar feed, and then the granular, I just like to use Garden Tone.
Well, I guess we're just dilly-dallying experts over here.
We are.
All right, I think we're going to wrap it up there, but let us know your dilly-dallying routine down in the comments, and make sure you're following us over on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we'll see you next time. Bye!